Moment of truth. Welcome back to the channel, and today is gonna be rad because today is a shop day, which means I might be installing this today. So stay tuned. Boy. First thing I gotta do is toss this cross member in so that I can get the pacer out of the shop. All right, cool. I just tighten these up. Tighten up the transmission mount and we'll be good. So this right here was taped up on there like all booger taped, like it'd been pulled off and retaped, like they tried to get the little tilt watch back in there before they put it back, hoping that it wouldn't fall. So if you've ever seen one of these, there's like a little, I don't know, magnet or something that sits at this hole. Then that way you know if it's been tilted too far, it's been pushed out. And this one's missing, means in shipping they had this thing laid over one way or the other. So we'll find out what it looks like when I open up the box. And the fact that the tape looks like this tells me that they tried to fix it, put it back in there, and then tape it back on. All right. Go. Alright. Like Christmas. Look at that thing. Fancy. Alright, since the last shop video, I have acquired every state. Now, I've not wheeled in all those states. All those are still on this side. But I have every state in alphabetical order from Alabama to Wyoming. And then I got a couple Canadian plates that I've acquired. If you are from Canada and you see that I need more, because I do, I could use some plates from Canada. So make sure that you let me know, or you can send them to the P.O. box on the website. Even had a fan send me the Virgin Islands plate, which is super cool. Thank you for that. And I have a few Netherlands plates over there. So if you see your state and have a better plate than what I have up too, let me know. Hit me up, message me down here, or hit me up on one of the other social medias. We'll figure it out. Time to remove a box. This has got to come all the way out for this side to come off. Don't get a second splinter.
Oh, trust me, got a couple in my hand just then.
Alright, that's gonna be awesome. It's even on wheels. Even better. How about them apples? Quick clip airlines, filters. It's gonna be amazing. Just got a phone call and I'm gonna need this. And the alternator's dead, so I got it running, but we'll see how long it lasts. Cherry tree. Bought a lift. Neato. Padsies. All right, well, pretty stoked about that. I've been wanting a lift for a long time, so finally being able to buy one, it's pretty nice. Now back to the compressor. So, one of the reasons I chose this Eastwood 3060 compressor is it's a scroll compressor, meaning it pulls out lots of air with minimal amounts of noise. I think this thing rates at like 60 decibels or something, which isn't very much at all when it's running. So when I'm filming and the compressor kicks on, I should be able to keep filming. The other reason I went with it is here is my compressor that I had for forever, even the one that I had in South Dakota. This is a nice compressor. I got it from Runnings. It's a 3.5 horse compressor. It is extremely loud. It takes up a lot of space. It's very heavy. It's on a pallet. I don't have any way to roll it around or anything like that. And this thing can barely keep up with like a DA sander. When I'm running a DA sander, this thing is like, I can run it for about a minute, maybe, and then I have to wait for this thing to air back up. This thing's got a 4 horsepower motor, and according to my buddy Dirthead Dave, who just put one of these in his shop not too long ago, he can run his DA sander as long as he wants off this, which tells me that this thing is way more powerful than my old school belt driven compressor. And it's so much smaller. Oh yeah. This thing won't take up much space at all. I'm not really sure what the 3060 stands for, but if I were to take a guess, it's like 30 amp draw, but 60 amps of style power would be my guess. I don't know, it's like half for double. But QST obviously stands for Quiet Scroll Technology, which I'm excited about. I can shove it in this corner, it's out of my way, and we can run some airlines. And we're gonna do it like this. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, 50 foot, 3/8 capacity hose reels. I got some 1/4 inch lag bolts so I can put these in. They are, looks like about 7 1/4. Yep. So each bolt, you need 2 bolts. It's 7 1/4 inches apart, center to center of the hole. So I'm just gonna measure that and I'm gonna mount it right there. That way I can just pull the hose down wherever I need to go. I got 50 foot out the front. I'll put one at the back of the shop, and then I got 50 foot anywhere at the back of the shop. I think that's more than enough to reach anywhere in the shop or out in front of the shop with some air. I think I'm gonna go ahead and give this a little pre-hole drill, just so it doesn't crack the board like it just kind of started to do. Much better. Made it just a little too tight. There we go. Look at that. I can get all this out and let it go back. Thing's smooth too, man. Awesome. Now just get a 1/2 inch ratchet wrench, tighten those lag bolts up. I swear that was 1/2 inch. Now just get a 7/16 ratchet wrench, tighten those lag bolts up. Thought it was half. And just like any other company that I work with, if I reach out to them, I always try to get you guys a discount code, and it's no different with Eastwood. If you guys looking at Eastwood, they got lots of great tools for the DIYer, tons of stuff on there. You can use the code COLT10 and get 10% off anything you buy. Got a rotating hose reel. That's right. If you saw how I made my funnel holder, I'm gonna do the same thing for airlines. Why? This pipe is rated to 450 PSI, so I should not be running my air compressor to 450 PSI. Therefore, I'm going to run PVC airlines. I don't see anything wrong with that. Biggest thing is getting the primer on. Let it dry for a second. Oh, then my glue is like crazy tight today. All right, my glue, throw a little glue on here. Push, twist. Man, that primer ran everywhere. There we go. I chose to use 1-inch PVC because I got straps for it, everything else, and it has the least amount of resistance. I have a 1/2 inch opening down at the compressor, so going up to 1 inch is just gonna have a little more volume all the way through the line, and then I can downsize right here to a 3/8 bushing that goes to my airlines. So when you put on Teflon tape, there's a certain directional way you want to put it on, so when you thread the thread on, it goes in and actually holds the tape in there. So you want to use your right hand and thread the thread this way away from you. So if you're left-handed, you'd want to thread it towards you. Then you thread it on. The Teflon stays like it's supposed to. Nice thing about that, I can throw these hangers right up against these hangers and I don't have to really measure anything. Unless I lose the screw. Oh yeah. This is gonna be amazing. Now there'll be some people that say you don't put Teflon on brass. I say nay to you, because I'm gonna put Teflon on brass. Let's get this twisted up really, really, really good. Whoa, that's not 3/8. Well, got a 1/2 inch end on it. So, my lesson learned, I got a 3/8 bushing and it's a 1/2 inch, even though it's a 3/8 hose, but they downsized to like a 7/16 or something. So I'm gonna need different bushings. All right, I wanna run that other Eastwood 50-foot hose reel right here. That way if I can run it out my back door or over to the lift or whatever I need, I got all this space back here that I have covered. So Ian's license plate's gotta come off. He might be a little sad, but I'll just move it over to this side. Cool. Hose is right there. So for all you shorter folks, you'll have to reach up for it if you're in my shop, but for me, it's just gonna smack me in the head because it's right outside my line of sight, so it's just gonna smack me right in the head. Now we just got to get our T about right there. We'll be good. Maybe I'll put it here. That way it's not touching any of these license plates. 47.5 to the center. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and glue my T on first, and then I'll cut it for this coupler after. Stuff drips everywhere. Now to save myself from having to figure out the difference on that T, I can just measure from the center of that T, 47.5 inches, and lop it. Minus maybe an 1/8 inch because of the gap in here, but that's no big deal. Now it's perfect. And look at that. Bing! Perfect. Now I can go out to the edge and 90 it this way. We'll cut that the same way. I'm gonna put the 90 on it first, and then I'll measure, because I took my measurement off the wall. So I'll put the 90 on it, and then I'll measure off the wall to there, and that'll be my cut. Kind of working backwards to work forwards. So like 1 step forward, 2 steps back, but you do like 2 steps back to do 1 step forward, maybe? Perfect. Now this one was kind of easy to line up because I had that board there to set it. Now you're probably wondering, why am I not going straight down over here in the back corner? And the reason that is because I'm going to come over here, down, punch it out the wall right there. If you guys watched the Dirt Head Shed, my buddy Dave Chappelle has the same compressor. I called him and said, how quiet is it? And he's like, man, I run it right under my stairs. It runs while I'm working, it runs while I'm talking, everything else. And I was like, well, I might have a spot outside. He's like, dude, if you have a spot outside, he's like, I 100% would run it out there because then you would never even know it existed. So that's what I'm excited about. I can put this out there right up against my metal building and not even know when it's running or not. That way, when I'm running air, it doesn't matter. You guys might not know this, but with that big red compressor, every time I would go to film, that compressor would kick on. It would just be just low enough where it'd kick on, and then I'd have to walk over there, shut it off, come back into where I was, and then re-talk about whatever I was saying and reshoot that whole scene. So this is gonna be night and day. He said he's been running his DA sanders and all kinds of stuff off this thing without any issues, which tells me that this compressor is way better than the one I have out there. We have a perfect little hole in my building. I gotta admit, every time I put a hole in this building, especially going outside or anything like that, I'm always like, yeah, okay. Hello. Cool, cool. Perfect. Yeah. Down and out. 17 inches on the money. Well, let's make that. Got lots of extra pieces to do that with. Perfect. All right, so I got my 90 in, kick down. I'm gonna put a T in there that feeds over to the compressor and then a drain valve below it. That way, all the water that ever gets in this line will come down here and then I can drain it. I can dump it out the bottom. Plus I can dump out the tank, but I want to get some concrete or something here. I'm gonna get some blocks to set this thing on for tomorrow. And it's a little late in the day today. Stuff showed up a little late. And so I'm gonna do that first thing in the morning. More notes, more Depot. All right, we got everything for the morning from Home Depot, and I made Shanna drive me here. That way I had somebody to talk to. Because even though I talk to you guys, it's like a camera right now. So I don't really get to talk to you guys until you comment. All right, new day, got a late start, had to do a few other things inside first. We're having computer problems, some other things. Got these from the Depot. They are the quick disconnects for your couplers, IR couplers, and I actually like this style, just a little thumb click. And the correct bushings. So the bushings for these are 1/4 inch NPT. Even though it's a 3/8 hose, it's a 1/4 inch NPT thread. So now we can go ahead and put those in and then get these hooked up as well. Oh yeah, much better. Nothing better than an adjustable metric wrench. Now, one of the things about this, because I don't have a union here, is I'm gonna have to turn this like 10 times backwards so that when I spin it in, it'll be level this way, because otherwise if I turn it right now, it's just gonna twist the hose up. So, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. All right. On the retractable hose end, this part you can just slide back. That way you can get this on. Oh yeah, perfect. Now, I got a quick connect. I want you to see how smooth this thing is. And it's not even all clicky and loud. It just stops and retracts. I don't have to find some special spot. Eastwood did their homework on this. Locks up, pulls back. Quiet, fast, don't have to find the locking mechanism. I like that. Then you can just slide this part right back over, good to go. Now I'll just repeat the same steps on that one. done. Next thing I'm gonna do here is start pulling all the stuff out of this lift, because all the arms, cables, everything are inside of it. Looks like I get to figure out how this thing works. It's got chains, cables, hydraulics. Not totally sure where this one goes. I better find some instructions. Okay, no instructions there. Contrary to popular belief, there are times I read instructions. Something like this is gonna hold over my head. I'm gonna read it. I found them. They were in the bottom of that arm. So, here is the outside of this lift. I'm 4 foot off the wall, and I have my 17 and 15/16 marked out here. One thing about the concrete for this one, this specific lift needs at least 6 inches of concrete. I have a foot of concrete there and a foot separation with my rebar. So where both of the legs will fall, I have a bunch of concrete and a bunch of rebar that'll keep this thing nice and solid. All right, top arm's off. Now we just got to figure out how to get it up in the air. Best tool I've ever got. Probably soon to be second best once I get this lift up. So I got my Yankum rope here. I used a cinch wrap, wrapped up the middle, and then around my forks. The weight is on this end, so hopefully when I pick it up, it'll just swing the weight down. Then we can set it up, and I'll have Ian and Shanna help me out. Well, it's up. All right, now this Atlas lift came with the supplied, these are like redhead style anchors. Drill a hole in your concrete, and then you punch these in. You just use a hammer and beat them down in there, and then you tighten them up, and it locks them in. These are 3/4 inch bolts. I'm just gonna do one, and here's why. I've measured it 7 times already, both ways of where I want it. But if I do one, and I get the other side set up, and I get my crossbar on that goes across the top, and it doesn't look straight, even though I've measured it and measured it and measured it, I can still adjust it with just that one bolt in. If I have more than one bolt in, I'm out of adjustment. So I'm using the theory of what I do when I build roll cages: measure, 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 tack together, and then go out and look at it. And sometimes you might just have to do little tweaks. So that's why I want to do the same with this lift, because my OCD is not going to be able to handle if it is not in line with those trusses, even though I measured it. Now that's a hole, and I went in pretty far there just to make sure. I know I was here when they cut in these sections to re-pour these for this, so time to vacuum that up. That's what I'm talking about. This thing ain't going anywhere. I'm not picking anything up on it. I'm not planning on hitting it or trying to mess with it, but it's sturdy now. Like, it isn't gonna fall, and we can get this side set up, get our crossbar, make sure everything's perfect before locking it down. But I am so happy, look at that. Yeah. I don't even know if they're legal anymore, but do you guys remember the old Jimmy locks they used to have? They called them Jimmy Jacks, I think, that you put down the window to pop the door. At least I know they're not legal probably in California, but this banding here, you can usually make something like that if you can't find it. So just FYI, if you need to get into your car, not be a thief, this banding is really nice for that kind of stuff. I usually keep one of those in one of my vehicles. That way, if somebody locks a key in the car, I might be able to get to it with that. It has to be an old car, though. All the new stuff's all electronic. Bubble wrap. Who doesn't love bubble wrap? Okay, according to the instructions, we got to be 137 and 13/16 from the back side of the plate to the back side of the plate on this one. So I got Ian holding that side. 137 and 13/16 right there. I measured off the back wall 12 foot for that side, which is right here, 12 foot here. So that should be the edge of this plate for this one.
I think Ian looks a little scared to be up there. Are you scared, buddy? Are you scared up there?
A little bit. All right, forming here, but having the one bolt in allowed me to know that this is secure. These things are seriously weighted at the base. Like, you can pick up this end, picking up the bottom end is not possible. So the nice thing about that is it gave me a sense of security there with the base. And then we got the top just kind of halfway bolted in, finger tight. But that way, now I can adjust everything to what we need to do. Which means I gotta go back to the instructions and read a little bit more. We got a lift. And while I've been working on this stuff, Ian and Shanna were out back here setting some stuff up for the compressor to sit on. Let's check it out.
Ta-da! We had to dig out and measure it. So these are 12 by 12. So we did 24 and 36. So it's 2 by 3 on each side. So there's 6 of them. And we dug it out and leveled it out and then put them down so that the outside compressor can fit. So Ian and I did that today.
All right, so this thing's set up. Now I need to take my level and level out the legs. So this side's actually pretty true. I'm not too worried about it. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt this thing down. Now the plates have a little bit of twist in them just because of all the welds that they put in on that base. Not too shocking. I mean, some of that could be a little bit of concrete. We did sweep out both areas and underneath them to make sure they were nice and clean so you don't have any crunchies or anything under there. But I can go ahead and finish bolting this up. I know that it's trued up going this way and this way. So once I get this one on, then I'm gonna do a couple little adjustments on that side. Their measurement actually I think might just be just a skosh off. And then to get it level, actually I need to rock it that way. And it comes with shims for that. Oh yeah. All right, I got all these bolts in, and then I went ahead and got one in here, and it worked out really good. I just used the level, made sure, double your measurements. See this side, pretty darn good. So I can go ahead and get the last few bolts in, but one thing that we did do is we put that part in upside down. So right now with the one bolt in on this side, all the bolts in on that side, I know that it's pretty true. We'll go ahead and unbolt this and flip it over so that it'll be the right way. I'm assuming because these holes here, there's like little eyelets, I think for your hydraulic line to run through that top side on the top of the tray and then back down over here where the control box will sit, which is fine. You know, if you're not doing it twice, you're probably not doing it right. Also, reading in the instructions, they say torque these bolts to a minimum of 130 foot-pounds, and they say do not use an impact. Well, I did use an impact, which probably voided my warranty anyway, but I figure about 4 ooga-doogas is about 130 foot-pounds, so I did 4.5 ooga-doogas, so whatever. Oh man, you have no idea how excited I am to be getting this in. Having a rad compressor and a cool lift is gonna be awesome. Now, one of the things I did here, when I set this up, I did 4 foot to the center of my square where I did like a 4x4 square of concrete that's deeper. But I went 4 foot off the wall, and the reason for that is so that I can always run my tool cart through here. Now, like one of the reasons why you have a tool cart is so that you can have all your main usable tools, and then those are the ones you're always going to be working on your car with, so you can get around to wherever you need to go. So that's kind of why I did that. I have enough space here, more than enough space, to get that tool cart around if I was going on this side of the car to work. And then the reason I did that too is so I didn't go center of the shop, is so that I have this side for all my tool work. So tooling, things that I want to work on, you know, welding table, all that stuff can be on this side of the shop without having that lift right in the middle. Kind of why I kicked it off to the side. There's more than enough garage door on this side to just drive in. Plus, with it over here, I still have enough room for 2 rigs here and here if I was trying to do 3 projects at once, which isn't uncommon in my world. All right, so this thing is chain and cable driven. So the cable that's on that side, I feed over here to this other shiv and then down. The cable that's on this side, I gotta feed over to the shiv on that side and then down. And then this is the hydraulic line for this hydraulic ram that I feed up through this hole and then across this trough here and down the other side as well, because that's where the control box is for it. But it does have nice little trays here to kind of protect the line on the back side. And you can see it just comes right through here and then through these little rings that they welded in going across. So I'll just feed it into that one and then through the other side. So the instructions weren't real clear on this part, but I can tell right now the way these shivs fall that I gotta put the cables up in this trough as well. So I gotta pull it back out, run it up through the top here, and then put them in. Do not forklift here. All right, so UPS just showed up, and if you guys remember, I was on Ultimate Adventure last year, and I actually helped with Ultimate Adventure in 2020 when they were in the Black Hills. And my buddy Jeff, he owns IH Parts America, International Harvester. Now, we can't have this sweet grill wall without some sort of rad corn binder grill up here, and he knew that. So he sent me one from California. Let's check it out. It's like Christmas. Oh yes.
Oh, that's nice.
Look at that. Even got a little binder logo right there. How about them apples? Heck yeah. Thank you guys. That's awesome. We'll have to get this up. I might have to paint it a color though, so it's like, so it stands out. Maybe we'll do a red or an orange or something, so it's a different color than all the other ones out here. So Jeff actually sent me a handwritten note as well. It says, congratulations on the move to New Mexico. He likes the grill wall. This is one of his blim grills for a 77 to 79 Scout, which is the same Scout that he had in South Dakota, a white one. This is actually the logo from the tailgate of that exact Scout that he rolled that I helped him flip back over on Bikini Trail out there in South Dakota. So way stoked on this. Thank you, Jeff. This is cool. We're gonna get this on the wall for sure. And got a bunch of rad stickers as well, a bunch of Scout stickers. So have to find little places to stick those. All right, so we got the cables ran across from each side. Now I have to hook them up in here. This is gonna be kind of tough. That hole is back there. There's no way to access it other than with my fingers. So I'm just gonna get it on there, get it as tight as I can, and then I'll tighten up this side for each cable on the other side. So the other cable runs just like this, through and up and over, and then it's hanging over there. So hopefully by tightening up the cable on the high side where I can actually reach it, that will work. I don't know what else to do other than heat up some wrenches and bend them the way I need them, which I've done in the past as well. Now don't drop it down the hole, Colt. I got that a lot easier than I thought I would. Just as long as I don't drop the nuts down there, then I'll be magnet fishing. Oh yeah. Right here is a electrical shutoff switch. And what that does, if you keep it pressed down, everything works. The second it comes off of it, it quits working. It stops the electrical power from you being able to keep lifting up. So there's a bar that goes across here so you can't smash your vehicle up. You put this on here, put the bar there, and it's like a nice safety feature when you're not paying attention. All right, feed the cord up through here, in through there, and then down through the tray. Just lots of feeding wires, feeding hoses, and feeding cables, and we'll get there. So, like I was saying, this bar is if your roof of your vehicle hits this, it knocks that switch off, and then it shuts it down. So then you won't have to worry about smashing your rig up into here, or worse, overextending something or whatever. So this is kind of a nice safety feature for somebody who doesn't pay attention all the time, like me. So usually when it comes to hydraulics, you have an AN fitting or what you call a JIC, like a JIC fitting, which has got a taper to it, and that's how you work it. What this has right here is an ORB fitting, which means O-ring based. So you have to have an O-ring here, little face in here that it seats up against. This one has an O-ring, fortunately, so I don't have to worry about that. It came with it. But I can tighten this on the O-ring, and then I can put the JIC fitting on here to finish it up. Got a little hanger there. Probably not, but looks nice. All right, so I got the cables tight. We got the hoses ran. We got electrical ran. Now we got to get the legs on. So the way these legs work is I can have them folding that way, or I can have them folding this way. I think I'm going to shoot this way. That way when I drive in, I can fold them underneath as I'm pulling forward. So it looks fairly simple. Let's see how it works. So the way this works is this is just on a spring, and once you sit down on it, it frees it up. Once you come up, it pushes it down and locks it in. So then the leg can't move wherever it is unless you pick up the pin and move it. So pretty simple design. We just got to set it up. All right, now this is one of those deals that's gonna be about 1,000 times easier to set up once you can lift the actual lift up and then put these on. But I was able to still get it on. I just had to force the spring up and then shove it on there. But you can see this spring will force this down when you pick this up, and then it'll lock the leg in wherever this fits. We need to tighten it down once we get it up and see where it sits. Pretty easy. So we'll get the other ones on, and then we can put our pads in. We'll be good. Oh yeah. Gonna be amazing. Ooh. Licker's here. It's the boo-boo dog. It's the boo-boo doggy. What are you doing, boo-boo? What are you doing, boo-boo? The old boo-boo dog, huh? Oh, yes. And I have a lift. The only thing I do now is wire and put hydraulic fluid in it, and we'll be good to go. It makes me happy. Now I can come out back here and finish plumbing up the compressor. There we go. Now this beautiful compressor already has a moisture separator, has an oil filter, has all the things. I just got to do some oil, hook up this, which that is your used oil. You can drain it into here, so it makes it easy to drain the oil out and change it. They're always thinking ahead there at Eastwood. And I can plumb my line over, so it's gonna be really, really nice. Power's right there. Gonna be amazing. And then I can always build a little lean-to off it too, you know, to kind of keep it out of any rain. We don't get a whole lot of rain here, but protect it a little bit. So I have that line right there, and I am going to run this directly to it. So this will tell me how much to cut. Right, a couple more pieces. Perfect. 37 inches. Look at that. Now, lines ran over, crossed, into here. That's all good. All I need to do now is put in my ball valve, which I'll probably just feed in with just the one line, because I really don't need this base piece. Then we now have a drain. So if for some reason my line gets wet, I can just pop that open, drain it out. I can also drain it out at the bottom of the tank. Now I'm gonna have the world's quietest compressor that I got from Eastwood here, plumbed outside where I'll never hear it, because you can barely hear it inside. I'm never gonna hear it through the insulated wall. So this is amazing. Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm way stoked on this. And this, just get cut. All right, get this on. We'll be looking pretty good. Feed that on there. And we can check the oil. How about that? So that ain't a bad deal at all. Drains into there. I can fill it right up here on the top. They set this up to make it pretty much idiot proof. I like it, because sometimes I'm not that smart. Oh yeah, it's good. If that dipstick was low on oil, you want to get a hold of Eastwood and get their Eastwood Scroll Compressor synthetic oil for this compressor. You know, you don't really change compressor oil that often, so you're going to be okay. If you have to pay up for a little better stuff, other than that, we have a compressor. Also, one of the biggest things with a scroll compressor is make sure it's off when you check this oil. You can actually have pressure inside there, so you want to make sure that you have everything off, the air drained down before you check that oil. You know what the greatest thing about buying your own lift is? I'm gonna put Colt Builds It right down the side of these legs. Why? Because it's mine. All right, well, have to take a break from working on the shop because somebody needs new plugs and coils. This is Ian's Jeep Liberty. This thing's got like, what, 160,000 miles on it or something like that? I bet the coils and plugs have probably never been changed on it. And you can smell it. It's like running a little rich. You can kind of smell it. And I think that it's probably due just because it's not getting good combustion. So we're going to go ahead and pull the top of this thing off and change these out. First thing you got to do is pull this off. How bad's your air filter? When's the last time you changed that? This out of here. You get it loose on the back?
Yep.
Right there, yep. So you just gotta get Torx in there and get those. Then we'll have the intake out. Then we can pull these coils off. So shouldn't be too awful bad in here. You can get a light, help being able to see. Pull these up. I would just grab the screwdriver and I'd grab like a T25 maybe. Because you're 100% guessing on a Torx. And we need a 10 millimeter. Not that it's usually possible, but when you go ahead and pull these coils off, when you unplug them, you want to make sure that you plug them back in the same spot. Most of the time the harness is set up really well so you can't crisscross them, but I've seen that happen before. So just make sure that you have them plugged in and unplug them directly how they came out. Which is as simple as pushing that and pulling out. Ow. That caught my thumbnail. There we go. All right. Now once you take that 10 millimeter nut off, you get your coil out of here. So one of the reasons why I figured we'd go ahead and do coils while we did spark plugs is two reasons. I got them super cheap off of Parts Geek, and secondly, a lot of times it's this rubber that goes bad and it'll arc off the sides. So if this rubber is bad down here, then you want to go ahead and change it out anyway. So that's what we're going to do. Let's see what these spark plugs look like. Oh, I don't have my little rubber thing in there. I have to get my magnet. Oh yeah. Not horrible, but who knows the last time they were changed. That's a lot of rust. Lots of rust. which tells me they've been in there for a minute. All right, so we are going to change out to some iridium plugs. Now, normally they say do not check these, but I still always check the gap, at least just kind of fine, softly get it in there. And if I got to pry this out a little bit, I can do that. Just try not to pry it against, obviously, that point. So, on a 3.7 liter 2003 Jeep Liberty, the spark plug gap is 40 to 44 thousandths. So this one's at 40, like 42, which is perfect. We'll go ahead and put it in. I am going to put a little anti-seize on here, though. I always put anti-seize on the threads of my spark plugs. That usually helps down the road. Even if it's not for you and it's for the next person, they'll thank you. Cool. Now let's see if I can do it without dropping it down in there. I dropped it down in there.
Womp womp.
I got it in the hole, though. I felt it go right through. Look at that. Right there. Money shot. Hole in one. Got an eagle. So, this is the old coil. This is the new coil. You can see it actually has a better boot here that will help keep a lot of that water and dirt and corrosion and stuff out of the spark plug area. So, this is a huge plus. This means that we'll probably be in better shape with these anyway. And then we can put these off to the side and maybe give them a good once over and see if there's any cracks or anything in this as I flex it. If there is, I'll throw those ones away and I'll keep the ones that are good. Oh yeah, nice tight connection there. Perfect. Got 5 more to do. I just showed Ian how to do it. He can knock out the rest. Bomb diggity. Oh yeah. The number one reason why I say always check your spark plug gap, never trust what's in the box, is these first 3 plugs we've pulled. The first one was the 40, it was like 42 thousandths. The second one was 55 thousandths. And this one is 70 thousandths. So all of these are all over the place, which in turn is going to make your spark all weird, which is going to make it's going to fight to run right. So I'm actually really happy that we're changing all these out, and maybe this will make this thing even run nicer. And also the reason we're getting rid of the copper cores and going to the iridium plugs, they take less spark, basically less energy from your coil to make a good spark. So hopefully they will run really, really nice inside this engine. Sometimes problems show themselves while you're working on things. Every now and again, this thing has pulled a small vacuum leak emissions, and look at this. So Ian needed help getting that back plug off. I reached in there, got it popped off, and then just noticed that this line is bad. So we'll go ahead and swap that out with a new one. Let's say it's all bad. All right, so we just hit up all the parts stores, AutoZone, O'Reilly's, and all the other ones. Nobody had crankcase breather hoses. Now you can get on Parts Geek and they have these in stock and they're like 13 bucks. So what I ended up doing, because I don't want to wait for parts to show up, is we just got regular radiator hose and we're going to toss those in. Well, I was just getting ready to make some crankcase breather hoses out of the radiator hose stuff that we got, and my buddy Justin called, and I'm gonna need this. So we'll see. He said his truck broke down over by Navajo Dam. So we're gonna head out there and see what we need to do. All right, so Justin just sent me a drop pin of where he's at, and he said that he realized that he blew a transmission line, so he lost all of his transmission fluid. So I'm gonna stop at an auto parts store, get like a gallon of transmission fluid or something. I don't know how much he's gonna need. And then we'll head out there, because maybe we might be able to just repair this line and get him back on the road and then not have to flat tow him. If we do have to flat tow him, if it is his big Ford, we're in our big Ford, so we'll be in good shape. There he is. Well, I bought 2 gallons of transmission fluid, so we'll see if that's enough. Maybe we can fix it that way. Something like this-ish. Worst case scenario, I got the tow strip. Back in there. right, so we used 1.5 of those gallons, and we were able to get his transmission full enough where it'll drive. Now, what looks like happened is the hard line that goes to the cooler down at the bottom of the radiator. I think it has like a clip in there, a little spring in there, and I think it broke because you could just pull it in and out the hard line. So what I did is I put a ratchet strap around it. It had a nice S-jog in it, and I'm just keeping that pressure against the cooler, hopefully keeping the line in. So we'll try to get him back, and then he'll probably have to drain it again and then get a new clip or a new like adapter piece there to see if he can get it to latch up and lock. But either way, we're not just going to leave him in the wind now. We're just going to follow him back to his house, make sure that he gets home okay, and then we'll head back to finish up the Liberty. Justin made it home, and so we were able to get our ratchet strap back, and he's going to see if he can try to fix that. I don't know, maybe you can take that apart and repair that piece, but I don't know if that cooler will fall down inside the radiator or not. So otherwise, we got to head back and get going on this Liberty again, and I got to make some hoses. So hopefully we can get that figured out. Maybe the Liberty will be tippy-toppy once we do that. All right, new spark plugs, new coils are in. We've got to make these lines, so I can just pull the check out here and then reinvent the lines that are here. Pretty simple, as long as you got a cutter. Easy enough. All right, that should work. Not gonna be as pretty, but that'll still do the job. And we'll just repeat the same step for the other side. Ow. There we go. Not the prettiest, but like I said, it works. All right, fixing those lines for the crankcase breather tubes should help this engine a lot. That's gonna at least keep off the check engine light that pops up just every once in a while saying that there's a slow emissions leak. I'm betting that was probably it, because it was catching extra air or losing a little pressure here or there somewhere with those broke lines. So hopefully that fixes that problem. Moment of truth. It started. That's a good thing. AC was working. Sounds good. I'd say that's a win. Doesn't sound like it's idling rough or anything like that, which means we got the plugs in good. All right. Revs up good. Say we're good to run it. That's a win. Ian was having it get a little warm when he was pulling hills with the AC on. I looked at the condenser here, it's full of bugs and stuff, so one of the things people forget is getting in here and pressure washing all the bugs out. All right, now all I had to do is I ran over to Big R, got some 30 weight synthetic hydraulic oil, and I'm gonna fill this thing up. Now it says it takes about 10 quarts. I got two 2-gallon jugs of it, so I have more than enough for this, and I'll use that hydraulic fluid on something else. But I'll fill this up, and then I have to wait till I get power on here to actually function it and get all the air out. Now I can use my rad funnel tree to grab a funnel to fill up this hydraulic oil. And no mess. And for those of you wondering, I just leave the bottom shut. That's a lot of oil to fill up before I have to drain that into that tank. So, also I had a few people say that my funnel thing was dumb because now your funnels will get dirty. Well, when I threw them up on top of the shelf, they got dirty too, and the only way to keep that from maybe getting dirty is having a clean room with this tree in it. I don't really know. I always clean my funnels before I pour anything down it anyway, so I'm not really sure what anybody gets at. And if stuff gets in there, it's just going down in my used oil drain anyway, which I'll in turn open up and fill into the used oil jug. I always find people with those kind of comments interesting because they don't ever give a solution. They just tell you that you're dumb. All right, guys, I got the compressor wired up. Still got a lot to wire up inside the shop, but I want you to see exactly how quiet this thing is. It is absolutely ridiculous. Let me turn this off. Drain my air out. Watch how quiet this is. I could have totally mounted this in the shop and kept working, and you guys probably wouldn't have even heard it in the background. But look at this. Dude, you can't even hear it. And I'm outside. Like, I can barely hear this thing. I don't even know if you can pick this up. Man. So if you have a garage that you build your stuff in, or you have a shop that's attached to your house, you might want to look into this, because when that one kicked on, I had a detached garage in South Dakota, and when that one kicked on, I could hear it in my living room. So this thing I can barely hear right here. I'm not even going to know when this is on in the shop, let alone in my house. Sometimes it really is real. You get what you pay for. And just so you know, I ran my DA sander, which always murdered out my compressor on that one, and I was just running it, and it never slowed down. So this thing is legit. It puts out some serious juice and can maintain serious juice. Now, as far as the lift goes, I still got things to wire up in there, but I do appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you check out Eastwood stuff, because that stuff is rad, dude. That compressor is awesome, and I know that Dirthead Dave loves his as well. So make sure you like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye. And don't forget, if you need anything at Eastwood, Colt 10 will give you 10% off.